Hey everyone, it's Tinted Falconite. I'm back with another episode of Road to 1K. And today's episode is going to be this Fog, Hawke mirror match. It's tier 1, obviously, because Hawke. On the map of Verdun V2. So, if you don't know, this is the map. It's Verdun it's made for a Sturm apparently. Not sure exactly why that would be for Sturm. I guess it's because of the rivers here, maybe, but on the plains for recon stuff, maybe. Yeah, possibly. So much better than version 1. Yeah, this is sort of similar to 1v1 Verdun. Let's see. I check that one out because it's an older map, so I can just compare it to Verdun. It's also in well, it's an S rank Hall of Fame map, but like comparing the two, this one is, I can't tell. It might be a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think it's a little bit bigger. As you can see here, you got this a little bit different of a river tile here, and in the original, the HQs are a lot closer to the production centers. But for this one, not exactly the same thing, right? So, yeah, as you can see here, it's a pretty flat, open map. It's kind of built for Sturm, actually, which I think might be why. Well, is Sturm allowed? Sturm is allowed, actually. Huh. Maybe I should have picked Sturm then. Because Sturm does pop off a little bit on this map. Just because of the forest and being able to reinforce areas pretty easily as well. I believe I'll just go into the map analysis because I believe it's still relatively new. As you can see, 56% Sturm, 58% Von Bullet actually, and 58 Hawke. So it's actually pretty even, all things considered, except for Sasha maybe. Yeah, Sasha doesn't like this map very much. So the main reasoning for this is you do have the HQs a little bit exposed here, meaning that Sturm, for example, could go for a cheeky HQ cap strat, which does make Sasha's day-to-day a little bit less important, although you can swarm with Sasha a little bit more, maybe. But yeah, it's a pretty just basic looking map. It's just line up all the cities. They're pretty easy to capture chain from as well, so you can just send your infantry right across all of this, and it's very simple, easy capture chains. Like, it's actually pretty fun because it can go from this property to this property to this property to this property, and you can just hop around. And that also makes it, because the properties are so easy to capture chain, that does make it a little bit more important, well, a little bit less important for you to have a lot of infantry. Like, they're still useful and stuff as usual, but you do want to prioritize vehicles a little bit more because, well, the capture chains are pretty easy to go for, so you don't need to send too many infantry out. Well, other than normal infantry plays, obviously. But you can maybe go for just focusing on regular vehicles rather than going for airport plus infantry. Especially since it's so flat. Like, there's basically nowhere for Battlecopters to hide on this map. So, your land units are going to be your most important thing for this map, is just spamming out a bunch of tanks, a couple anti-airs basically, recons as well because it's fog. But that's it, basically. Single comm tower map as well. But I think that's basically why I picked Hawke, was so that I could get 20% with the comm tower. And then I could just wall break everyone except for Von Bolt in this tier. But, well, actually that's not true, because if I wanted to pick Sturm, I wouldn't be able to wall break him either, but that's neither here nor there, right? So, but yeah, this is a pretty basic looking map, so I'm going to just go ahead and get started for replay at this point. So, there we go. Yeah, the first thing you always want to do is just go for that base, obviously. Getting the airport early is pretty important as well. I think, yeah, I'd say going for the airport's probably the best bet, because this is actually, these tiles are actually C, so you can't actually send your infantry directly across that, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, just for the income, really, because the airport's so close, right? And then you can send this guy to get this city as well, so you can just send your infantry out this way. One thing that's sort of annoying about this map is this starting area is sort of like a choke point for the infantry, right? So you have to be sort of careful about where you're placing them all and how you're spreading them out. Even though this is like a crazy capture chain type map, you do want to be careful about where you're putting your infantry. Opening transport copter. I don't like this move. Because there's no real area that you need to get your infantry to super quickly here. Unless you're going to be rushing the upper comm tower. But if it's a Hawke versus Hawke map, well, I mean, I guess you're denying your opponent the 20%. So you're denying your opponent wall breaking possibility. But I still don't feel like it's that perfect to rush for it, because it's close enough to your opponent's production center, but it's not going to end up mattering. I mean, that is a decently good little bit of tech there, actually, because he can boost these infantry out a little bit. So that sort of choke point thing that I was talking about with the infantry here, he's not gonna have to deal with it as much, but spending 5k for that is maybe a bit steep. It is an extra unit though, so like because you're building an air unit, that does give you an extra point of unit count. I'm just not sure if the transport is really, yeah, it's probably decent guess. As you could just do that. Oh, he's not even going for it like that, because it didn't even matter for this guy. He's getting tank out finally. I got recon out first to scout ahead here, mainly because I didn't really have the money to tank chain last turn, but I have enough cash where I could just get double tank this turn, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to do that here. Because in Fog, like, tank chains are good and all, but spreading out your tanks is also decent, because you need coverage of basically everything to make sure your opponent can't just get free hits off on you. So spreading out your tanks is decent. Ideally, you have like 2 tank chains going right away, or your tanks just are close enough that they cover each other. But something like that pretty early is what you sort of want to go for. He's going for the battle copter as well here, which is, I mean, extra unit count, right? So it's not like the worst idea in the world. But as you can see here, I'm going for the anti-air immediately, because I don't have enough for 2 tanks this turn, and it sort of just fits my build order, which is basically just tank, anti-air is a pretty solid Fog build order, and been getting out recons when you can afford it, basically, for vision. Especially on a map like this where there aren't any mountains, recons are going to be king here. They're going to be super important here. Especially with all the forest and stuff. So that you're able to see if people dart in and out of forests, basically. The recons can become super useful for that. He's going for a battle copter chain, actually. Interesting. So I'll see what at the end of my turn what that means for him, but I would not go for double battle copter. Well, I mean, battle copter chains aren't bad, because especially if you're assuming your opponent's gonna go for a battlecopter, because it sort of forces your opponent to build battlecopters if you're doing it. But well, actually, I'm going battlecopters here. Okay, battlecopter recon. I think that's fine. I am behind a little bit in income actually for the time being, but that's gonna even out here in a second, for sure. Excuse me. Yeah. But like I said earlier, battlecopters aren't the best on this map because it's so flat, and like a single anti-air can take out more billion of these battlecopters. So he definitely needs to get some tanks out, which I'm assuming he'll do next turn maybe. But right now, the situation on the ground is I've got 2 tanks, 2 recons, and an anti-air, and a battlecopter to his 2 battlecopters, 1 tank, 1 transport copter. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd say 6 vehicles to his 3, because transports aren't exactly we're not exactly good for combat, right? So already you're sort of seeing an issue here with my opponent's build order. So he's going for the tank attack into the recon here. He can finish it off maybe if he goes all in with his infantry here, which I think he's going to do. Yeah. So he takes out my recon and starts capping with his infantry. Looks like he didn't even take any damage on his 2 infantry there either, which is pretty good for him. Yeah, he's moving in with the battlecopter as well here. So we're going to be seeing here in a second. So I moved in my tanks sort of specifically so that they could sort of reinforce each other. Okay, he's going for another battlecopter. Battlecopter tank. That's not the worst. Going infantry there. Moving in the infantry there to spot the tank there, and getting the first strike there is going to be pretty important here. And then I'm also going to go for the interrupt as well, because may as well. Let's see. I believe Hawke tanks are like decently powerful enough. Yeah, they're powerful enough to ensure the 60. So that's a like really solid interrupt there. Rather than like if it's better than if you only do 5 damage, because then your opponent can just cap. So it delays the cap by 1 turn, but getting a 6 off delays the cap by 2 turns. So that's part of why Hawke's actually very strong, especially with 1 con tower. The 1 con tower does guarantee that interrupt like that. But as you can see here, I'm ahead, and I'm kind of sort of significantly ahead in income, semi-significantly for the time being. And then I've got the anti-air moving in to cover all this stuff as well. So if he moves in with his battlecopters, which is kind of all that he has left at this point, he's going to lose them. Not that he can see them yet, my anti-air yet, and I'm pretty sure it's not even that good of a position for him to see the anti-air from here with, even if he had like a recon or something. But yeah, so he actually does take out the tank straight up there. Partially because it's on the road, so it doesn't have any extra defense. But this was a bit of a luck roll there, so the extra luck from this guy plus this. Let's see what the odds were on the initial attack, actually. So we got 10, 10, so 59 to 67. So I got the 60, obviously. And then it's, yeah, basically set to doing about 3, slightly less than 3. So with the battlecopter follow-up here, I'd say it's pretty likely that that plus that does kill with the counterattack damage. So good move from my opponent there at least, but as you will see here in a second, moving in aggressively with the battlecopter here isn't going to pay off. Okay, he is getting pretty aggressive over here, getting a decent cap there with the infantry. Well, at least started. Getting the cap started, at least. We'll see if he manages to finish it off. But yeah, goodbye Battlecopter. He doesn't have anything else in range, tank-wise. Well, this guy does actually. He did move his infantry off of there, which means that I'm going to be free to just move in with my tank pretty aggressively here if I want. Yeah, so I scout out the tank. I think I'm going to go move in to finish it off this next turn. So I'm actually going for the same sort of move that he did here, my infantry. Finish off that tank so I don't have to deal with it next turn. And start capping here as well. Now I've got the recon here to reinforce my infantry on this side as well. So the mobility of the recon actually is going to be, and the tankiness as well. So I can just keep it on the city or whatever point he's going to be trying to capture, and then he can't really do much with his infantry against that. So recon again being very important here, and my opponent's deciding to just not, to just ignore recon and fog, which is a massive mistake for him. And then I have enough money, barely enough money to just get tank anti-air here, which again, winning the vehicle count were pretty significantly at this point. So going for the cap here, I'm gonna take out one of my infantry, but yeah, all right. He does move in with his battlecopters like in a decent position way, well, his infantry, so that I can't actually move in with my anti-air here to punish his battlecopters, but like I don't need to this turn really. He takes out the infantry there. Moves in with a tank onto the city. That's not bad. And moving in with the transport there actually coming in pretty handy there. So what do I do in response? Well, first of all, I take out the transport copter with the battle copter because that's pretty free. Then I move in with the anti-air as well. I'm kind of pretty aggressive. I'm being pretty aggressive here, honestly, because he's got a lot of infantry in this area. And I don't really have much to support these two units, but I'm kind of assuming that he's not going to be that crazy here, so yeah, I open up with the recon here and the infantry. Get a cap. We'll take out that infantry as well, and then I start capping here, which is important because I'm like a stone's throw away from his HQ. So he's going to have to divert some resources to deal with this as well here in a second. To make sure that I don't just straight up fucking HQ cap him. I step off the city to take a unit count away from him, take out that guy from there. Actually, the tank is in range of the anti-air at this point, so that's not bad. I have a battlecopter chain going here as well. So if he does attack this, take out this battlecopter, I have counterplay for that. He does have a shitload of infantry in this area though, so maybe not the best, but whatever. And as you can see here, these forests are slowing down my vehicles pretty significantly, but I'll be able to move them in pretty easily here in a second. So battlecopter tank actually, because I at this point I've noticed that he's just spamming battlecopters, so I'm like, okay. Kind of have to match him at this point, you know. Does actually take that guy out there. And that, well, not quite there, but, you know. So, battlecopter actually does take nothing there. Takes out the infantry, but at this point, I'm looking pretty good here. Because I can just move in against some stuff here. So I forget if I go, well, we are getting into Black Storm, Black Wave range as well here. So at this point, I'm like considering whether I want to pop the Black Wave, because if I can use it to, well, I guess I'm not doing it this turn. But basically, oh, I actually fall back. Yeah, with this guy. Get the first strike on the tank as well. Got the anti-air sort of like out here exposed, but I'm got enough tanks and anti-air coming in for backup here, but I don't really need to worry about it. Like I can lose this anti-air at this point because I got another one in the back. But now I'm tucking up the Neo tank because I'm like, okay, enough of this shit. Neotanks are decent against battlecopters. Let's see. Which is why I went for it, especially if they're on like the city. But battlecopters can do a good amount of damage to them, just like they can to medium tanks. So you have to keep that in mind. But the most important thing for Neotanks is that they do a good amount back to the battlecopter. So it's more of an even trade, at least in HP, if not in unit value, which is why I went for a Neotank here. Just to start dealing with it a little bit. He has to respond with it somehow. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm at least a little bit ahead in income, so I'm working with that. The anti-air is not getting taken down by his infantry to my opponent's chagrin. Okay, well, it finally is actually. He's actually taking out the HQ cap there. Don't know what happened to my infantry. Just disappeared. We'll see in a second here, though. And he's falling back with the 1 health battlecopter because it's not going to be able to do much. Okay, so taking this property pretty easily with the help of the recon. Again, recon's being very useful here because it's out of tank range, so pretty good. And the vision by itself is also solid. So take out the tank with the help of the infantry here. Moving into the forest so that if he tries to interrupt this cap from the forest, he'll get punished for it. And if he doesn't attack from the forest, he might just go from the north there. But if he does do that, well, I don't really have that much counterplay to it, but I can just cap, I guess. I mean, join cap there, so. So I take that guy out so that I can move in and grab the battlecopter there. We're at the point where we do have access to the Black Storm, so it's going to come down to whoever uses it and gets the most effectiveness out of it. If you're playing a Hawke mirror match like this, what you want to do is generally use it when you're basically sure that you can get a lot of kills with it. So the other option you can always do is just pop Black Wave, and then you have a little bit charged up for next turn in response to either its Black Storm or Black Wave in response to you. So that's always an option in this mirror. It's not necessarily the most optimal one, but it's always an option. Okay, and he's basically stopped all possibilities for the the HQ cap here, for at least the time being. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this property that makes my income lead even harsher at this point. Take out the battlecopter with the help of the recon here. Finish off that 1 health infantry. Go for the cap here, because I just want to like threaten his stuff basically. Wipe out as much of his infantry as I can here as well, so that well, mainly so that it's lessening the effect of his Black Storm, right? So he's not getting any healing value off of them. Go for the join cap here. I think I probably... Oh wait, there's a forest there, so I'm just moving him in there to defend, I think. At this point. I've got 2 tanks and upper tank in the back here. So if he wants to go for it, he can. And looking at his unit lineup on the left here, I think he might actually end up going for it. I forget what he does here. We'll see in a second. But he does have... I am doing another small little battlecopter chain here. Got another anti-air out because he's just spamming battlecopters. I have to punish him for it, so... That's all good. I have an upper recon and infantry as well, so not even that bad. Yeah. All right. So he basically secured that. That's gone. Takes out the recon here and the infantry, I guess. There we go. Sheltering his tank in the forest there, which isn't bad. Moving in with the tanks here. This is a pretty good push from him here, actually, honestly. Solid push here. Basically neuters my 2 tanks here for at least the time being. But importantly, I do get to keep this property cap. So as you will see here, I get the cap, got Recon here, and then I just go for the superpower because I feel like I can get a couple kills here. So I take out the cap there like that. Take out his infantry there with my infantry there, and then I actually take out this tank with a Neo tank. I forget if I'm able to consistently get this guy. Yeah, I am. Okay. Duh. I mean, it's a Neo tank. I should even really be expecting that, but so take out that tank. Take out that tank. Take out. Well, actually, don't quite take out. Well, there we go with the tank back up there. Take out that both of his battlecopters there, and like that's a pretty good sweep there. And I got units in the back as well to push in next turn. So pretty good push here. And the important thing is I'm taking caps. That's the most important thing here. And I'm at this point I'm sort of just mirroring his battlecopter spam, but the good thing for me is I have enough money at this point that I can afford to do this. Whereas he doesn't really have the money to afford that. So he obviously has to pop his super in return there. It's kind of devastating. Devastating amount of damage. Plus he's going to be healed up for everything here. So pretty good. But I did enough damage in that push last turn that it's not going to end up mattering, I don't think. It was just too devastating of a push last turn. Especially considering I've got a Neo tank here. Because Neo tanks are very durable against light vehicles, battlecopters even. So having that ready to go here with the Neo tank is like exactly what we need. So I move in like that so I can spot that guy. I do a good amount of damage here, but really, you can barely see the battlecopter hiding behind the HQ. That's kind of funny. But yeah. So I am able to just keep on pushing here. Especially with my tanks in this area. But I do need a backup anti-air here soon if possible. So yeah, I'm gonna have to fall back a little bit and repair everything. But because I'm so ahead in income, like I'm 5k ahead in income at this point, I'm gonna be able to, I'll be just fine here. Getting a bit slightly maybe aggressive with the battlecopter here, but whatever. Okay, so now he's moving in with his battlecopter, taking out mine, taking out both of my battlecopters there. Like, that's the other thing about battlecopters, which I don't really like, is they're kind of a bad investment. Because they just die. They just die after not really doing much, especially if there's like anti-air in the area, or even if you're chipped down a little bit as Hawke, they just go down. So, whereas like just tanks plus anti-air is overall going to be better, right? I'm actually falling back like this with the Neo tank because I wanted to take out that recon this turn. Taking out the battlecopter because like taking out, well, not quite finishing him off with the recon, but like he's basically neutered at this point. Don't really have much that he's gonna be able to do with it. Take out that tank, chip that even more, and then going for 2 caps here. So this guy is guaranteed as well at this point. Like there's nothing else that my opponent can do about him. So yeah, and I'm ahead quite significantly in unit count and value at this point. So we're good to go here. He takes out the tank again. Like that, to be fair, Hawke battlecopters are really powerful. It's just, they die so fucking easily. There goes my tanks. But he did I did sort of force him to push in like this with all of his units here, so he's not gonna get the city next turn. He's sort of exposed there as well. Okay, and now he's moving in with his infantry at this point, but there's not really that much to do with it at this point. He's finally going for a bomber to deal with my Neo tank as well, but it's gonna end up being a little bit too late to be like super effective here. Taking out the anti-air with the Neo tank there, obviously not quite taking that guy out, but I'm having a recon move in here to finish him off, to finish the job next turn. Taking out the very exposed recon there, and actually taking out, no, not quite. I was kind of hoping to take that guy off with a recon, because then I'd be able to follow up with an attack with the anti-air here, but alas, I'm gonna have to wait back here a little bit, which honestly isn't bad for me, even at this point. So I'm ahead 6k, it's fine. I should probably be a little bit more conservative with my units at this point. But yeah, more anti-air, more battle copters, like duh. But yeah, he's still moving in, and then he just resigns. Oh, I wonder why he resigned. To be fair, he does have like plenty of infantry to wall off this area, so, and I don't think there was any chance of me getting vision on the bomber this turn, so it's not even that big of a mistake for him. But, well, I mean, to be fair, on this side, it's not even doing that good either, right? Because this guy's going to take out one of these battlecopters. He sees both of my battlecopters here as well, so this guy's going to take one. This guy's going to basically neuter one of these guys. The other one's going to neuter the tank. And I can probably finish off the tank with this guy. Next turn, I'm also going to be close enough that I could maybe pop a black wave if I wanted to. But this guy's dead next turn. This guy's dead next turn. I'm even going to maybe potentially start capping this guy. And finally being able to get it, maybe. Neo tank, I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing with a Neo tank. I think I'd probably just have it sitting on one of these cities here, which, well, especially if he has his power, he could probably take it out pretty simply with the bomber. Yeah, because he does take it out pretty easily there. So if I left it sort of around here, he'd be able to take it out with the bomber next turn if I put it onto the city. If I left it anywhere else, then no. But the other thing that's an issue for him, though, is he moves in with a bomber like that. I just move in with the anti-air and kill him. So it would basically be a trade for a trade. It would basically be an even trade, at least monetarily, sort of. Well, not even, because I've already done some work with the Neo tank here. So it wouldn't even be an even trade up at that point. Meaning that, well, because he's so far down on income at this point, I feel like this is a decent spot for him to stop. But yeah, next turn I'm going to be basically getting rid of all of his presence in this area. Going to have a battlecopter, a bomber. Well, that's it. Just a battlecopter and a bomber ready to move in next turn. And like all my units at this point are anti-air or battlecopter, so I'm able to counter him pretty efficiently like that at this point. He's got 21k as well, so he can't really build a Neo tank of his own if he wants, but I could always just build a second one or even a bomber or something next turn if I wanted to. So yeah, I think my opponent's, well, did he even build? Well, I guess there's one recon that he built. Yeah, you built like one recon. But I think that's it for the entire match. And like this is a fog game. This is a flat fog game as well, so no mountains, meaning recons are actually super important here. The other thing is he kind of spammed battlecopters a little bit too much. And a little bit too early as well. Because you want to make sure that you have a decent tank base to take out the anti-air. And like, while battlecopters are good early game to take out the tanks, like a single anti-air, as you saw there, just demolished his battlecopters like easily. So that was another reason why he was having trouble, was he was relying a bit too heavily on the battlecopter, I feel. But yeah, I believe that's it for today. Next week, let's see. Next week's match is probably going to be... it's going to be this high funds grit meter match. That's going to be funny. Yeah, this is Gahan Recycled. It's not even that big of a... Well, I guess it is a grit map. Maybe. It's 47% grit. But, yeah, I forget exactly what happened on this map, but it's high funds, so that'll be interesting for next week. Anyways, if you enjoyed, do go ahead and like and subscribe and all that other nonsense. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. So thank you very much for watching.